40 minutes after the hour now, a manhunt is on for a gunman believed to be responsible for shooting 5 homeless men in D.C. and New York over the past couple of weeks. Surveillance video obtained by the New York Post shows the suspect looking around before shooting point blank at what appears to be sleeping homeless people in New York City. Now, police believe the very same man is responsible for all 5 shootings and is targeting homeless men, leaving 2 so far dead and 3 others wounded. If you recognize this individual, please contact police. Meanwhile, the People's Convoy of truckers turning several of the nation's capital's busiest roads into virtual parking lots today as the caravan of flag-bedecked vehicles crawled through downtown D.C. after spending several days circling the city's beltway. The truckers, in case you hadn't heard, are protesting COVID-19 restrictions, and they're also calling for the president to lift the COVID-19 National Emergency Declaration. All right, up to space is where we take it next. NASA says its astronaut, Mark Vande Hey, who is currently serving on the International Space Station, will be coming back to Earth on a Russian spacecraft, the Soyuz, later this month as planned. And when he returns, he'll actually hold the record for the longest American spaceflight mission, spending nearly a year among the stars. Now, there had actually been some concerns that Russia might deny the American a place on the return ship, thanks to the ongoing tensions between Russia and the U.S. vis-a-vis Ukraine. But NASA says Vande Hey is coming home on that Soyuz, quote, for sure. Now, despite evidence to the contrary, President Biden tonight continues to insist that Vladimir Putin is the culprit for the current spike in gas prices nationwide. So we want to talk about that, soaring inflation, and how Ukraine plays into all these energy matters with former New York State Senator, Democratic strategist David Carlucci, and the Washington Free Beacon's Matt Foldy. I love this topic because I don't think there's any doubt that we saw prices rising quite a bit, David, long before the invasion. Would you at least cede that point?
Well, yes, we've seen inflation increase steadily over the past few months, but the invasion of Ukraine has obviously exacerbated the situation. So I think President Biden is right to blame Putin for this price increase. Is it the answer to all of the issues with inflation? No. But I think nothing speaks louder than our need for energy independence than this situation that's going on in Ukraine right now.
Matt, before I get you to weigh in, I want to share just a bit about gas prices, just to remind everybody, not that you need reminding, especially if you're commuting in from many of the suburbs and exurbs around the country. Gas prices have been going up for quite some time, and I think this graphic will illustrate just how much they've been going up. I mean, we're talking about AAA average price of gasoline right now, regular $4.33. Look at that, increasing for 57 of the past 59 days, up 41 cents from just a week ago, and it's even worse than that. We're talking much worse. If you think about it, gas prices, Matt, have gone up some 59% since Joe Biden took office. So, looking at just that number, you'd have to say it's a bit of a specious argument to sort of try to put this all on Vladimir Putin, no?
Well, it's concerning for President Biden that 1 year in, he's blaming everything from Vladimir Putin to corporations for the consequences of his own actions, right? On day one, Biden declared war on American energy by canceling Keystone XL pipeline, sending the entire oil industry into, a tailspin of uncertainty, right? Why would you ever invest long-term in American energy when Democrats come into the White House, they'll shut down your pipelines? But it's not only that. He's canceled permits for oil and gas drilling across the country, and House Democrats pressured gas companies to stop drilling in America. So we've seen an all-out assault on American energy, and we've stopped buying oil from Russia, but instead we're buying oil from, Venezuela and Iran rather than doing it here in America. So we should be energy independent, but the Biden administration has a Department of Energy that, doesn't believe in energy.
David, I don't want to put you in the the unenviable position of being chased by pitchforks and torches by your neighbors. I mean, let's face it, if you commute at all, you know how bad things have gotten. Let me share this. I think you'll find this interesting. This is from Harold Hammond, the Wall Street Journal. Quote, here is no good reason for America to become more reliant on energy imports. It constrains our policy choices, forces us to cede our national security to foreign players, and enriches those who would do us harm. This administration is working with the Saudis, Venezuela, and even Iran to come to the rescue. Why? Well, that's a tough question for you, my friend, but I'm going to put it at your feet. Why?
Well, I think the answer is obvious. We, as Americans, are addicted to gas and oil. There's no other way around it. And I think President Biden is being honest with the American people and saying, look, we've got to change this. We can't just drill our way out of this. We can't frack our way out of this. Yes, there might be some immediate satisfaction with having affordable energy, but the reality is we have to pay the price. And we can either pay it now or we'll be paying it in the future. So we've been talking about climate change, a climate crisis. I think this really puts it in perspective. When gas prices start going up, it's the real cost. When we start having to do business with Putin, with Venezuela, with Iran and Saudi Arabia, you see who we have to deal with. But the reality is we have to deal with ourselves. We have to embrace policies where we use less energy, where we are less dependent on the oil and gas companies that really have us by the neck.
See, I don't disagree with that. I think most Americans would agree with that. But at the end of the day, we have to do something now because it's easy. If you have a nice job, you make six figures, you're not too worried about if gas goes up by 40, 50 cents a gallon. But if you're a single mom and you're out there and you're struggling to make and you're living paycheck to paycheck, the fact that the government isn't doing each and everything possible right now, right this second, to keep the prices as low as possible, some would argue is a dereliction of duty. David Carlucci, Matt Foldy, thank you, gentlemen. As always, we certainly appreciate your time tonight. Thanks for staying up with us, guys.
Good night.
Thanks for having us.
You bet. 46 minutes after the hour, our special coverage of the war continues with a live report from Ukraine. That's next.